What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It is the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I'm Juggernaut,
I am Mike Trauma D.
and together we make the super duper group, Arkatech Beatz. If it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to get the notifications. Today, we're going to be talking about why artists who fail to make video content are going to be left behind in the music industry. We're going to be talking about that today, so just make sure you watch the video all the way through to the end. You and I have been talking about this before we even got into the live. We've been talking about it. We've been talking about the importance of video content and why artists need to make more video content. And like in a situation now, some people are suggesting that you make a video for almost every piece of content that you have. Like, let's talk about why it's so important for these artists to start making more video content, and then also talk about, if for the ones that don't want to do that, why they're in danger of being left behind.
Man, Jug, man, it's as technology continues to move forward, there's just so much things that you have to get involved with when it comes to technology, music. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's difficult for a lot of people who are not used to that. They're not used to being in front of a lot of people. Maybe they don't have the social skills. So for the most part, you're really gonna have to practice and fine tune yourself, and to understand that in order to be successful, you're gonna have to do a lot of things that initially you may be uncomfortable with at first. And that means getting in front of the camera, and providing content. The content is necessary for people to get to know who you are, know your brand, know your product, and better yet, if they like you or not. They have to, like you, like your product, like what you got going on, to even want to be a part of it or subscribe to what you got going on. So it's very important, to be in front of the camera, to create the content, to push it out so you can gain the exposure that's going to be needed to generate the traffic so that people could come to your site, know what you got going on, and participate.
And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up. They say, okay, I know I have to make video content, but, how do I make the content that's going to make sense? What kind of content am I going to make, and how can I make it consistently, for a long period of time? I'm just an artist. How am I supposed to do this? And I think that's where a lot of the situation is. People are trying to figure out, like, okay, what am I putting in front of the camera? And what we've always been suggesting from the beginning is document the process. Right? That's the easiest way to start, is to document the process. Document the songwriting process, document the production process, document what's going into you going into the studio and you coming up with the music that you're going to be eventually selling to your folks. Like, document that process. Let's start there. And that you'll be surprised how many people are interested to see what it started from and then where it finishes from. Like, if you watch a lot of video content, that's what a lot of people tend to like. If you ever see those videos where people are starting to shape up arts and crafts, people want to know what the end result came out to be. Right. So a lot of times, like, that's like the easiest pieces of content that artists and producers could put out that can get a lot of engagement if you're doing it consistently. But the larger issue at hand and what I'm seeing is not enough video content. And that's really the reality of the situation. You got these songs, and there's just not enough video content for these songs to actually get the traction that you're going to need.
Why do you think this is happening? Do you think it's, people don't know what to create, or, lack of discipline? Like, what do you think it is?
I think what happens is we get tied into the results.
Yeah.
Like, we get tied into, damn, it only got 10 views. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody got to start somewhere and get 10 views, man. Like, that's something that I seen Gary Vee talking about the other day. It's like, hey, look, you may be looking at Mr. Beatz videos or something like that, and they say, oh, they got X amount of millions of subscribers. Everybody got to start at 1, man. You got to go from 1 before you get to 1 million. Everybody got to start there, and people got to just don't worry about that. Like, get into the normal cadence of producing something, and then get into the idea of trying to make it better, right? Trying to get it to look better, try to get it to sound better.
So basically, don't wait, because I heard from somewhere, I can't remember the person's name. They said a lot of times, we have a habit of we want to wait till we get it right before doing something, and really the case is that you should just jump right in and get the process recording, get it started. And while you're going through the motions, you're learning as well, and at the same time, it's being documented. So you're learning, it's being documented. You got the product out, you got the content out, and if you look back out at our first podcast, all the way to now, and we're still growing. It just goes to show that sometimes you just got to get it started. Just put out a piece of content, and you just go from there. You look back, you study it, like, okay, this is what I want to fix. This is what I want to do better at. And you learn and you grow. And that's just with anything, you study it, you learn, you grow, you try it again, you take a look at it, almost like, a professional football player will look back at the reels and see what they've done and what, how they can fix it and what they should do. It's the same thing. You look back at your stuff, look back at your music, songs, your artwork, whatever the content is, and say, you know what, okay, I like what I did here, but I think I want to move forward in this area, fix this, fix that, or get better in that, and then apply it to the next piece of content you put out.
That's the main thing, man. It's just doing it,
yeah,
and getting better.
Right.
Like, you can't compare our first beat to now.
Right.
You can't compare it. Like, you get better, but you have to practice. You have to continue to do it. And I think if people ever follow Alex Hormozi, he talks about being committed to the long game. And a lot of people aren't committed to the long game, especially when we're talking about video content. Like, we're talking about making hundreds of videos.
It could be
that. Like, you don't know you don't know what's going to click. It could be video 101 that does it for you. You just don't know. The situation here is that as you continue to do the content, you will get more views, especially if you're dealing with platforms like TikTok, because a platform like TikTok will take your content. What it does uniquely is it doesn't necessarily push your content to your followers. It always takes your content, and if it puts it on the For You page, it puts it in front of new people all the time.
That's dope.
You see what I'm saying? So this is the difference versus, the other ones who you think because you got a bunch of followers and they're not seeing it anyway because it's suppressed.
Right.
Right. But then then you have the problem that it's not promoting it to your people that follow you or new people. Like, at least in a TikTok sense, and now in a YouTube Shorts type of sense, is getting pushed out in front of people consistently. The question is, are you putting yourself in a position to take advantage of the what's going on right now with Facebook Reels? I don't think people are paying attention to that. I know people think that Facebook is a dead platform. It isn't, especially with the Reels format. The short form content is not dead. The YouTube Shorts, people have to make sure that they're doing that. It's getting in front of more people than it ever would. Now, our subscribers have grown in a way because of Shorts that wasn't happening on the long-term content. The question that you have to ask people have to start asking is, how long will this last? Right?
Right.
Same thing if you go back to Instagram Reels. Same thing if, you can post Reels on Pinterest. You can post Reels on LinkedIn. Like, there are a bunch of platforms that you could be posting your content to that can help to grow your audience. Albeit, they may not all be, growing at an exponential rate, but the key here is to make sure that it's growing.
Right. Is it safe to say that the still shot is dead? The still picture is dead?
Unless it's a really dope still shot. Like, you have to start really playing around with your iPhone or your, in my case, the S23 Ultra. You gotta start playing around with these things to get that quality. And if you got that quality, and if you string together maybe a bunch of images.
Mm-hmm.
You can make those into, they got templates where you can dump them in and make those
Right,
into sort of
right.
animated photos, turn them into videos. But you can turn anything into a video now.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of applications that's available at your fingertips.
And then folks ain't using AI. Like, you can use AI to do your videos. You can do so much. Listen, there's really no excuse for you not to have any video content for your music. Like, it's almost borderline shameful for you not to have video content for every piece of situation, especially when you're walking around with a damn near, if you have an iPhone, particularly, you're damn near walking around with a cinematic camera in your pocket.
Now, there will be people that say, they don't want to put out bad videos or bad content or
Okay.
just the quality level. They feel that if they're picky and choosy, if they put out things that are not quality, it can hurt them. It could hurt their image. It could hurt their brand. What do you say behind that? Because that could be one of the reasons that a person doesn't have as much content as they should, because they're being a little selective.
So the question really starts to be is like, okay, if you're not putting out video content, do you even have a brand? If no one knows who you are, does it matter?
Yeah. So you're saying you should. So you're saying it doesn't really matter. Just get the content out.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if no one is
Why-
checking for you. What are we talking about?
Right.
Like, that's the issue here, is that a lot of times what I see happening is that we're trying to maintain a certain level of integrity for who? Nobody's watching. If nobody is watching, it's like your key here is to get some eyes on your situation. Once you get the eyes on your situation, your fans are going to tell you what direction you need to go. So sometimes you might have that situation in your mind, like, hey, I want it to look like this. And your fans don't, and the fans don't resonate with that.
Right. Absolutely. So that it goes back to like just jumping in there, just getting it started.
Yeah.
Get your content started. Your fans, and the people that come along and start to view and start to comment, they'll let you know.
It's like we're looking for Hype William type videos, and listen, that's not it anymore.
But shout out to Hype Williams. You got
Shout out to that, right? But that's not it anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and if you remember when Chief Keef and them came on the scene, all of that changed, man.
Yeah.
Like, like that. This like the content that videos used to need to have to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's no longer. That's no longer part of the situation. It has to just resonate with the people. People like to see things that are organic, that seems to be authentic.
Right.
Things that show who you are, your character. Do I like this guy? Do I like him? Do I like this gal? Do I like, do I like?
And for most cases, man, I think your consumers, man, I think the fans would rather see the realness, the authentic, without all of the pretty glared up, perfect picture type of video. They want to see that, okay, this is for real, this is from the mud, this is okay, I understand this, and then when you see the growth, it's even better, because you could actually go back and look and say, okay, I remember that I saw this guy's first video and he was here, and now I could see the growth and development, and look where he's at now. Like, I see it, and it's documented. And I think that's so dope, man. I think that's key, man. I think that's what it is. You got to be authentic, and being authentic is just going out there and just giving us your raw, giving us what it is, as opposed to waiting for things to be quote unquote perfect, which may never happen.
So there's a connotation out here where it's like, I don't want to do my video, like you said, I don't want to do these videos because it doesn't look the way I want it to look, or I don't want to be on this person's platform because it may not be big enough, or I don't want to do this because it may not be doing this, and so forth and so on. Again, if you have an audience of 0, does it matter?
Gotta get started.
Gotta get started. if you're not getting the money that you want to get, right? If you're not in front of everybody's household, if you're not, you don't really have the liberty to truly pick and choose, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're you have to make a decision if you want to succeed and if you want to live off of your art or you don't. If you want to have you know, a proverbial kind of, if you're doing it on some, if you try to do it to be some sort of artistic creator where it has to be like this,
Hmm.
just know that those things are typically synonymous with poverty, right? And I know people don't like to talk, but people don't want to keep it real. But if you're not in a situation where you're kind of being able to keep up with what's going on, or if you don't have a very select group of people that's buying your stuff anyway, you're gonna be left behind.
Yeah.
Like,
A lot of times, Doug, we get in our own heads and
yeah,
we talk ourselves out of what we're supposed to do. Oh, I don't do that. That's not my thing. But that thing is what's going to allow you the opportunity. That thing is going to open up some doors for you to be able to do the thing that you really want to do. Like you don't get what you want out the gate.
and I would take it to us doing this podcast,
Yeah.
right? People,
It's a lot of things, Job. You can go back before the podcast, from doing beats on just hardware. Me and you, Job, we had crazy back and forth where I'm like, I'm not working on no computer doing those kind of things. I'm not doing that. I need my Timberlands next to me when I'm hitting that MPC. And
there are so many things that we were saying, hey, we're not blogging, we're not this, we're not doing this.
I'm only doing this kind of music.
Yeah. And this is where we are with video content. Video content is king. Don't let anybody else tell you anything different. Video content is king. If you do not want to create video content in this business right now,
wrap it up.
You wrap it up. You're gonna wrap it up. Like, this is not for you anymore. Like, if you don't want to do video content, and I had to get out of that, right? Because for a long time, this is the reason why we even became. I wanted to be a producer. I no longer wanted to be in the front. I wanted my anonymity. I wanted to be. I didn't want nobody to know. I didn't want my business out there.
Right.
I didn't want it. So I didn't want that. So I didn't want to be in front of a camera. And everybody who knows me knows that I'm not that guy.
Word. Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I don't want to be in front of a camera. I don't really like to play a lot of games with folks. I'm not into all of that. Like, that's not my thing. And people know that. But the issue is, if you don't pivot, you get left behind.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to tell people. Like, listen, you got to get out of your own way. Hey, my nose is too big. Hey, I got these Jamaican lips. Oh, it's not gonna work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you get into these situations where you be asking yourself, oh man, you'll talk yourself out of doing this stuff. And the people who are not afraid, they're thriving.
Yeah.
The people who are not afraid to just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna embrace this goddamn camera. This is what it is. I'm gonna show people what it is that I know. I'm gonna show people what it is that I could do. Once people start doing that, then they start thriving. You say, oh, wow, this person is thriving. It's because how can a person know what you do if you don't show them?
Absolutely.
Like, that's the reality of the situation. Like, if you can't market it, if you can't show it, how are you going to market your music without video now?
Yeah. And Jug, to be honest, for a good amount of time, even in our career, so many people didn't know, especially mostly consumers. They didn't know that, oh, you did that beat? You did that beat? Oh, I didn't know. Yo, that record changed my life. And it's a testimony to, okay, Jug, we gotta put out more content. We gotta put out more content. We gotta let people know. Because if people don't know, then you're not gonna get the opportunities. You're not gonna get the all of the things that come along with the accolade, everything. You're not gonna get it.
Nope.
You're gonna be in front of the club, can't get can't get in. Who are you? And you're gonna be standing there trying to run your resume down like, oh, I'm this, I did that, I got this podcast, I got that. Oh, I didn't know. I mean, I get it, man. Like some people, you don't want that popularity and some of the things that come along with it because let's be for real, man, these are some dangerous times. And yeah, I get it. You don't want the popularity, you don't want the fame, but at the same time, you do need the recognition in order to open some doors and opportunities. People need to know what you do, how well you do it. It's the only way you're gonna last because the game just keeps changing. It keeps changing. Today is this, tomorrow's that. And you got to be able to be able to maneuver and be able to survive every change, be able to reinvent yourself. You know, next year it's going to be something else. Or you're going to be able to tell yourself, okay, I can do that. I can morph and do that too. When it's the year after that, when it's something else, a new technology emerges. And in order to be successful, you have to do this or be on this kind of platform. Or you're going to be able to tell yourself, you know what? Let me do that. Or you're going to say, that's not for me. I can't do that. You gotta rethink about it. Now, we're not saying to go outside of your moral compass. That's something else.
That's it, right.
That's something totally different.
Right.
We're talking about the immersion of technology and using technology to help you get where you need to get. There's opportunities out there, and if you don't move around and learn these things, learn these new programs and softwares and read these books and so forth, you're not gonna last. You're not gonna stick around. You're gonna be here with the dinosaurs.
The joint is real, man, because when I think about it, I'm like, okay, if you got a cell phone, if you got a tripod, if you got some lights, or if you're even outside, every phone, right? Look, every phone got CapCut. Every phone got a editing software on their joint now. Like CapCut, you can really edit like in a way that I can't even believe in some cases. Like, you know, and this is free. There is no excuse, man. Like when I tell you there's no excuse, there's none. There's just none.
Yo, you get your iPhone and just place it against something that has a stand. I used to have a stack of books. I just lean that joint up on it because I didn't buy a stand or have one at the moment. I lean that joint up and just talk into it. You get a little paper, you start investing. Okay, this week I got a little whatever. Let me go get a stand. Let me go get some lighting. You know, just jump right on your favorite, site. Cop these little items. They're not expensive. $15, $10, $20. Every paycheck you get or every source of income you get, you just say, you know what? I'm going to take a small amount to put in reinvesting into my craft, reinvesting into making sure it get to the point where I want it to go. If you need some new lights, if you need this, if you need that, don't use that as an excuse. Just get started, and as it goes along, say, okay, next week I'm gonna copy some lights, I'm adding that, but I'm still doing what I gotta do. I'm still shooting this video content. I got no lighting, then you know what? I'm gonna go outside and do this and shoot this joint.
Real talk.
I'm gonna shoot it in front of the crib. I'm gonna shoot it in front of the peas. I'm gonna shoot it in front of the whatever. Or I'm gonna sit in my car and do it, which we have seen so many celebrities doing that in their car. Like,
it's real, man. Like I'm not even. I don't even understand why it's like this is even a conversation for a lot of folks.
Because it's what's easy for some people is not easy for others, and it's really because you get into our own heads, and self-esteem issues. You're concerned about certain things, and you're concerned about that. You're concerned about how it looks. What's going to happen? Is it going to do this? As opposed to just doing it. Just doing it and put it out. And as you get feedback, then you just take the feedback and work it into your next presentation. But you just got to get started, and so many people get upset because there's so many smart people, there's so many talented people that sit back and waste time and they lose opportunities while other people are striving. Other people who may not even be talented, but they just know how to put out content. They just outwork you. And it's in a lot of cases it's sad because here you super talented, but you got the person who could outwork you shining. The one who's outworking you, putting out tons of content because they figured that out. They made a conscious decision to say, you know what, I'm putting out content every day at this time. I'm gonna carve out 30 minutes to an hour at this time every day or every week, and I'm putting this out. And then they just stick to that. And because they're doing that, they're creating a whole lot of content. Their reach and their value is reached to, spaces that's uncomparable. And the opportunities that's being presented to these people because of that is ridiculous.
It's one of those things, bro, where you just don't have a choice. Like, again, you don't have a choice anymore. It's like you just, if you want to succeed in this business, this is where we are with the video content. And let's even go deeper into it and think about the situation with video content and how it can help you. When we're talking about it can help to move your career and, sell whatever it is you're trying to sell, music or etc.
Right.
But what a lot of people are missing is that the video content itself is monetizable.
That's the bonus.
So this is where it gets. This is where I think it's even, more interesting, or maybe the most important caveat to it all is the content that you're creating to sell yourself or your brand or to promote yourself.
You could get paid for that.
You can get paid for that.
Which is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Exactly. So this is why, to me, it's almost asinine for you not to create the video content, because the video content that you're using to promote your music or your book or your course or whatever else that you're using to promote, the platforms themselves will pay you to promote yourself. So wait a minute, you telling me if I have content here on Facebook, they'll pay you if you had a certain subscriber count? Yes. If you go over here on YouTube, they'll pay you if you have a certain amount of watch time and subscriber count? Yes. If you go to Reels, they'll pay? Yes. All of these platforms are now monetizable. So the question here is, and basically you're repurposing all the goddamn content, right? Let's be honest, right? You're taking the same pieces and you post it in everywhere. Why are we not doing that? Like, why are we basically shooting ourselves in the foot by not posting or not creating the video content that's necessary to move the needle? Like, that's the issue. And then the next thing, on that is what artists and producers are supposed to be looking for is ways that you can produce the content at low cost. So this is why it's very important for you to learn how to kind of do a lot of things yourself, because if you can do it yourself, then you can produce the content at a certain clip with no cost. Now, as you start to earn money, you start to outsource that. You see what I'm saying? Then you get help. When you start to earn some money, then you get the help, and then you can start to scale once you can get the help. But the key here is to be able to make it for low cost in the beginning, so that you can pump out as much quality, as much quantity as possible. And then as you start to earn money, then we start to, drill down and start to get the quality better. Maybe we get a better camera. Maybe we get a better mic. Maybe we start to get better locations. But that comes as time progresses and as you start to make some traction and get some customers and or fans. Like, this is the blueprint, people. You're watching it in real time with a lot of people doing this. If you're talking about any artist like a Russ or someone else like that, or any people out there that are producing content at a high clip and making their videos, same situation. And he makes videos very constantly. People don't like to talk about the videos that he makes because he likes to make videos about the music business. And he talks about those things at length on his different his platforms. But people aren't paying attention. He's talking to his fans. He's creating video content like very, very frequently. People aren't catching that. So like what are you doing? Are you not making the content that you need to make?
Yeah, yeah, it really, like I said before, man. I think folks is just in their own head. They're just used to things a certain way, and they're unwilling to make the change or make the adapt. To adapt. I think that has a very big part. To surviving. Jug. If we didn't adapt, as technologies, start to change, if we didn't open up our minds and start creating, you know, additional kinds of music, we wouldn't be around. You know, you gotta grow. Bottom line, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's growth. Like it's not just hey, I don't want to do that. It's more of like you need to do this and add this to your arsenal, add this to your skill set, because now once you add that, you're a better version of yourself. You're able to do a whole lot more for your brand. If we had decided like we weren't going to do this and do that, upgrade our music equipment, or we decided that we wasn't going to travel to different areas to study the sound, travel to the west, travel to the south, you know, just get involved in that type of lifestyle and just understand the vibe and the music, so that we're able to be able to create that kind of music. If we didn't do those things, we wouldn't be here. If we don't get in front of the cameras or get on the microphone, and you know, we're not going to be able to produce the content that's going to be relevant. So it is important. Better yet, it is critical to your career. If you want to stick around. And yeah, we all have our fears. But the ones that are going to succeed is the ones that's going to overcome these fears.
That's that's the bottom line.
Yeah,
Like that's there's nothing else you can really say. It's
because
like
there's so many people that who is not as talented, is not as smart, you know, but they are pumping out the content. Whether you feel the quality of the content is dope or not, they're pumping it out. And because they're pumping it out at such a rapid pace, it's allowing them to get in front of so many views. It's allowing them to get so many opportunity. And here you are, you super talented. You're like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Like that's not my lane. I don't need to do that. But you are stopping, and you are like killing your whole career. I remember, Judge, you were telling me about like certain artists that refused to do certain things that would have opened them up to different deals. You know,
that's always been the case. Is that people like to stand on what used to work. That used to work, right? Are you taking into consideration what's going on in the landscape now? That used to work, right? For the first time in Super Bowl history, Budweiser didn't have a commercial, right?
right?
Because what did they say? It no longer works. Like we're doing video content, but we're not doing it here. We know that it's better for us to spend our money with influencers, consumer generated content, so forth and so on. So again, it goes back to you wanting to do something that no longer works. It no longer works anymore. It doesn't create it doesn't. Somebody was complaining. I got into a post where somebody was talking about there's no more superstars when we talk about rap music and so forth and so on. And
Hmm.
it's because, remember, there's no more superstars is because the definition of that has changed,
Right.
right? The superstars are now on TikTok, and they're TikTok famous, or there's something like that, and that's a different type of superstardom than we're used to,
Right.
right? But we're not used to that type of superstardom that those folks are experiencing. But it's not stopping their bag. It's not stopping the fact that when they go someplace, people know who they are.
Right. Like, it's amazing. It's dope what Nori has done, how he has transitioned, and from, rapper to Dream Champs podcaster, which is amazing. It's been extremely successful, and that's a good example of someone who took technology and pivoted with it. I don't know if you saw Boosie's one of his latest um IGs, but he was saying how he took a deal, or he's taking a deal for $40,000 to do a podcast versus doing a show for 60 grand. Well, he'd rather do that. And, some people were like, well, why wouldn't you take what's for more money? And he's like, 40 grand to be on your couch, just, to talk versus going to the show, risking your life, being in an environment around this and that, traveling here and there. Like, it doesn't really add up,
And if you think about it, the podcast is going to get in front of so much more eyes.
Exactly.
And it's going to live
local. It's not just local.
And it's going to live forever on the internet and continue to help them in perpetuity. That's what nobody wants to talk about. Like, if you're creating what we would call, if you're creating evergreen content, and that's the terminology that folks use in the YouTube space. If you're making evergreen content that basically can apply to, just everyday life. Like, let's say, for example, you're an artist and you're just talking about, the trials and tribulations of being an artist, how hard it is to stay focused, how hard it is to be disciplined. Those evergreen content, it doesn't go away. Once you post that stuff on YouTube and stuff like that, that stuff will be there generating views in perpetuity. Like, people have to think about the long game. They have to think about how, and I think you and I had this conversation, and in my opinion, YouTube is the new compound interest, or video content is the new compound interest. Because as you start to add on to that, it's like the deposits in the bank that keep growing.
Right.
Keeps growing, it keeps growing, it keeps growing. The subscribers keep growing, your followers keep growing, your views keep growing. The more you make the deposits, it can continue to grow. And for an artist of particular calibers, that can be everything. You have a lot of people whose YouTube channels or their other, their followings on these platforms, their businesses within themselves, outside of the music or the merch or whatever else that you might be selling.
It's the new 401k, pretty much.
To a degree. To a degree.
Like, like, if you think about that, just keep putting into it, and the return, you just keep compounding on, as you said. It's like stock.
Right, but as you get to a certain level, and like, we're not saying everybody's going to be a Mr. Beast, but as you get to certain levels, brands will partner with you.
Yeah,
brands will come and say, "Hey, we see you got 10,000 loyal subscribers. We want to get into that. We want to get in front of those eyes."
right. And if you're making multiple deals like this, it could be very lucrative.
And that's another jewel right there. Again, it's like, setting yourself up for success. But again, we didn't have these things in the beginning for us. Like, you couldn't tell me that you gave me a free platform to promote myself that would eventually pay me.
Yeah.
What?
Paying you to promote your brand.
And think about this on another level. Like, okay, we're going into a recession. Like, this is the best time for you to do this.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's essentially, basically, I don't want to say free money, but free money. Like,
so Joe, basically, it just really comes down to just, being disciplined, creating a schedule. If we had to give some sort of advice at the end of the day,
So there's two things to that. It's like, one, yes, create a schedule. Definitely try to stay on task, stay committed to what you're doing. If you need video ideas, that's AI for that, people. Jump on ChatGPT, start to ask it questions to get more video ideas for content.
Yeah.
It's very simple. You don't have to, like, you no longer have to do these things yourself anymore. Like you don't have to worry about, okay, what content am I going to make? Ask the AI. Go into Google. Let's search. Let's see what's the trending topics, and then make your content that that kind of coincides with what your brand and what your music is trying to do. To see how you can kind of connect it together, to kind of see if you can jump off those trends. Now, I'm not really a big fan of trends per se because I really like evergreen content. I don't like the content that just come out and stop. But for those who are into trends, it's a good way to get a good amount of views very quickly on your content.
Yeah. And you can miss a match.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no rules to it. You test and you see how your fans respond. You see how the people respond. And however people respond, then you double down on that content.
And the thing is, you can do anything. You could just get on your phone and just talk about a subject matter that was bothering you for the day. And I'm sure, everybody's going through issues, going through problems, going through things that can relate to probably almost anything. And as a music producer, there are a bunch of things that all producers tend to go through. You know,
Right.
as a writer, same thing. As a person who's an actor, same thing. There's a bunch of content. There's a bunch of things that you guys always go through, and you could always touch on those topics, and people will relate. So, don't think you're by yourself in the conversation. Get a schedule together and stick to it. Consistency.
And a lot of our content, what I realize also, what people real like you said just now, is just talking about, like, you're like you said, the experience.
Hmm.
What happened? What happened to you?
Right.
And I think a long time, a lot of, for us, even, when we talk about some of the bad deals, we talk about some of the experiences that we had with different artists. We talk about, what has been our situations when we've been in the studio and the creative process. Like, people want to understand that. It helps them to navigate this business, which is very, very complex.
Yeah, because most people aren't talking about those things anyway. Like
No one wants to.
the social media, what was happening a lot was just people just giving you the pretty side, giving you, just doing the makeup and kind of just giving you the glitz and glam. And social media also, I think what's also dope about it is that you have a couple of people, who will give you the real. And that is what thrives, people who are giving you the real deal, what's going on, what's happening. And if you're staying authentic, you will thrive. But you got to be consistent with it.
It's crazy right now, bro. So I wanna recap for folks, and again, what we were talking about is why artists and producers who fail to make video content will basically be left behind. And what we talked about today is how much content well, we didn't talk about how much content you need to make, but we said basically you need to make video content. There are some people who say, hey, you need to post every day. I lean toward that, but I feel like that can create burnout.
Mhm.
Right? Uh so I don't say to post every day if it's going to be meaningless content that doesn't really have any direction and or is going to be of horribly low quality. I don't know if the algorithm is going to reward you for that. But I do think that you should look for maybe at least a weekly cadence of posting. Like, at least, if you're not posting at least once a week, you're out of the game.
At least that's the
At
minimum.
least minimum, and it needs to highlight your content. And you have to be able to highlight your content in a specific way. And I always ask people to just take a look at your favorite brands and see how they push their content, how they put music to move something that they want to sell. And you just have to think like how they think and use your music the way that you can use your music, or use whatever, what you're trying to sell, to try to put together the images that basically will, motivate people to be emotionally tied or driven to what you want them to do.
Right.
Um, the next thing also is video content, in terms of what content should I be creating. You have to kind of look at the kind of music you're creating or what products you're looking to sell, and you have to kind of figure out what's going to make sense. This is where I'm an advocate for AI. If you get stumped and you don't know, this is where things like ChatGPT and stuff like that are very, very, very useful, because it can help you to narrow down how or what kind of content you need to make, and it can give you, you know, uh, an infinite amount of ideas so you don't run out of content. Like,
Mm.
this is probably the most important tool of our generation. I don't know if people really understand that, but hey, if you don't want to use it, you will be left behind. I can't say anything outside of that. So between just trying to find a cadence in terms of how many times a day you should be posting, pick your favorite social media app or platform, whether it be TikTok, YouTube. Um, Honestly, YouTube is still king. I know people think TikTok is king, but YouTube, in terms of monetization and their monetization payout,
Mhm.
YouTube is still king. Don't sleep on Facebook. TikTok has the lowest pay per video, but the reason why people use TikTok is for lead generation, and they also use TikTok for brand and or sponsorship situations. So, you have to be able to utilize the platform on how it monetizes your content,
Mhm.
and leverage that to sell whatever you're trying to sell. If you're trying to get leads, or if you're trying to do, um, sell direct to consumer, so forth and so on. So you
Right.
have to know your platforms and then make a decision
And the
as to
algorithm
what's going to work for you.
is different too.
And each algorithm is different, especially if we're talking about short form or long form content. Right now, short form content is king, and that is putting you in front of the most eyeballs. But YouTube is rewarding people who have long form content, and TikTok is moving toward a longer form content. They're allowing people to upload maybe up to 10 minutes now. So
Mhm.
it's not going to all be short form, because as it starts to move to a search engine, that's really where the goal is. The goal is to turn TikTok into a search engine. And the folks who are creating the content, that's why they're giving you more. They're giving you up to 2,000 characters, I believe,
Right.
to put into the video. And they're giving you more places to type so you can use for SEO. And it's giving you ability to have a longer videos. And I think the content creators that are creating longer videos on TikTok may be the ones that start getting pushed forward a lot more. We just don't know it. We don't know whether or not that's the case, but we'll see what happens.
Gonna be interesting because so many people have such a low attention span. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that's gonna play out. If people are gonna stick around and watch these videos for that long.
People watch what they're interested in. So that's really the situation, honestly. If you want to learn something, you're going to watch it. And I think I had gotten that from watching a lot of like Tim Ferriss content. He tends to have he's an author that has longer books, very long blogs. I'm like, why is this blog so long? But I read it all because
Mhm.
you wanted to read it. So like, if you want the information, he took the mind frame of, hey, the people who really want the information and who are vested, they're
Mhm.
gonna go. They're gonna watch, or they're gonna read. The people who don't want to do that, that's not your audience.
Right.
That's the reality of the situation. The people who don't want to go through that, they're not your audience. You know. So that's part of the situation, folks. It's the Architect Beats Music Business Podcast. Just make sure that you're checking us out on www.architectbeats.com,
Mhm.
on all platforms at Architect Beats. If you have not already gotten our book, The Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration, the essential steps to protect and monetize your music. If you don't have that, you got to go get it. Make sure that you get it, because it's free on our website at architectbeats.com.
Yep. For those who want to do work with us, as far as like beats, We got stuff on the website now. More beats are coming soon. We're uploading, weekly. So just get on there. You hear something you want to use, you know, handle it. let's
And
hit
we've
some.
also,
Let's hit
and
some.
we
Let's hit some heat.
definitely we're looking to work with some new artists.
Yeah,
That's really the situation here. Is that
and then submit it to us. We're working on a couple things, man. So you record the beat, submit it to us, and let's check it out, man. So there's gonna be a lot of opportunities we're gonna be presenting. So just stay tuned.
definitely we've just opened up our portal again for professional feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So for artists that are looking for professional feedback, that portal is now open. We did have that going through for a different third party vendor before. And we helped a lot of people with that. Dare I say, there's a lot of people we helped with that. So again, we've decided to open that back up. So definitely check us out it's on our website as far as being able to just submit your songs for professional review. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
anything else you wanna wrap up?
nah, I want people to just realize, like, listen, like, don't fight yourself.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself. Get in your own head, and you're
Right.
beating yourself. Like, you're not even putting yourself in the race. Like, that's the reality of it, is that you're preventing yourself from getting into the race. You're in your own head. You're in your own way.
Yeah.
Like, it's no need for that. Like, just get in, execute, make it better. Execute, make it better. Get in to start now. It's not too late. It's not too late to get on any platform. It's not too late. They want you to believe that it's too late, that you missed the wave or you should have got on. It's not too late. None of these platforms is too late. All of these platforms are experiencing tremendous amounts of growth, and you just need to make sure that you're in it. Because if you're not, you're gonna lose if you don't try at all. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
All right, folks. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace on.
Arkatech.